You on? Yep. Welcome everyone to our annual general meeting. And just a couple of announcements. Sally sold some Zatoun oil and she's not sure who she sold it to. So if you're the person, oh, she sold it to you, Jan. All right, good. That's great. And then has everyone had a chance to sign in? All right, that's great. So let us pray. Gracious God, we give thanks that you are present with us, that in the sharing of our ministries, in the decisions that we make, in a celebration and thanksgiving for what has been, and in gratitude for what will be, we gather. We ask that you would infuse each leader that speaks. Be with us as we gather and bless this gathering, that we might make decisions that are wise and kind and respectful. May your Holy Spirit blow through each one of us and strengthen each heart, we pray. Amen. I would ask that we have a motion to elect the chair, and that would be Blair. Do we have a seconder to elect Blair for the meeting? A seconder, Karen Maynor. All in favor? Carried. And then a motion for secretary. Who would like to move? Motion that Jerry Garnett be secretary today. Kathy McNeil. Seconds. All in favor? Carried.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Just a bit of housekeeping. Please sign the sign-up sheet, which is being circulated. And when we discuss the budget, if there's any questions about the budget or comments, please go to the mic in the center of the sanctuary. The agenda for today's AGM has been circulated. Are there any errors, omissions, or alterations to the agenda? If there's no changes in the agenda, can I have a motion to approve the agenda? Karen, second. John Thompson. All in favor? Carried. The next part of the agenda is what we term an enabling motion. It's worthwhile stating that it's Knox policy to dispense with written ballots, so any votes will be by a show of hands. And I'd like to move that we extend voting privileges on temporal matters to adherents of Knox. Can I have a motion to that effect? Karen, a second. Ray? All in favor of the enabling motion? Carried. Thank you. There have been two previous sets of minutes circulated via email. One meeting was on October 15th, 2023. Are there any errors or omissions on the October 15th, 23 minutes? Seeing no changes to the minutes, can I have a motion to approve the October 15, 23 minutes? Ray and Shirley second. Yeah. All in favor? Thank you. And the second set of minutes is February 18th, 24. Are there any errors or omissions in those minutes? Can I have a motion to adopt the February 18th, 24 minutes? Kathy McNeil, second. Joy Levesque, all in favor? Carried. The one other thing I'd like to ask is if you do get up to the mic to speak, would you state your name for, so that minutes are a little easier to take? Thank you.
Okay, well, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to speak to this segment or not. So I thought what we would do, or at least the executive, we decided that it might be nice just to break the meeting up with 4 minutes of a year in the life of our congregation. So you've probably noticed on various occasions throughout the year, I've had a camera in hand, and I went back to all my files and I put together this little slideshow, which I hope you will enjoy and bring back some happy memories of a good year. I just want to make mention that some of those photographs were not mine, so thank you to who took those, and but I put them into the show anyway, so thank you.
Ken, would you come up, please?
Okay, the next item on the agenda is to hear from the 9 team leads about a little bit about what happened in the past year, but more importantly about their thoughts and aspirations for the coming year. So if your name is on this list, could you please come up here? And we'll start out with Jane Walker, and we'll just follow through each of them as we go.
From here? Okay. All right, I am speaking for the 4Fs, fun, food, family, and friends. I'm going to start with the walking group. We have a dedicated group of walkers and some dogs who meet in Rathtrevor at 10 on Thursday mornings. We walk for about an hour and then go out for coffee. It's a really great group. Our goal in the fall will be to spread the word and encourage people of all walking abilities. Our last walk before taking a break for the summer is this Thursday, when we'll meet at 11 in the park, not 10. Okay, next one, Sisters United. We've had a great year, some excellent speakers and programs. We meet the first Monday of the month at noon in the lounge and have over 60 women on our list. Have a great turnout at each meeting. Our goal is to be sure that all newcomers to Knox are invited to join our group and to be sure all members have a ride. Coffee after church, and this really involves Ray as well as me. He's the one who's in charge of that. So it's gratifying to see how many people stay after the service for coffee and conversation. Thanks to everyone who helps, and a special thank you to Monique. Where are you, Monique? No, you don't have to come up, Monique. I just am wanting to say thank you. Monique greets everybody with great enthusiasm, and then she puts on her rubber gloves and gets all the mugs through the dishwasher. And so we really appreciate you, Monique. And Monique, also works in the gathering place. This area also includes occasional breakfasts and barbecues, including one that's going to happen after church next Sunday, June 30th. We really hope you'll come, stay for the barbecue, bring a lawn chair and a hat so we can be outside, but we can also be in. Okay, next, it's a big group, big ministry. Greeters. These wonderful people come early on Sunday morning to set up and welcome everyone as they arrive for the service. We try to identify visitors and newcomers, find out if they would like more information about Knox, bring them into the sanctuary, introduce them to some folks, and be sure that they are invited in for coffee. Information about these new people is passed on to Jennifer and the office for name tags, e-news, etc. And last is the gathering place. Another great year. We're so lucky to have Barb baking up wonderful treats at coffee time, followed by a delicious lunch that she and her assistant Molly prepare. Barb is now making up bag lunches for folks coming in looking for help. And we have Sheila Simpson, a retired addictions and mental health worker, offering to greet these folks. I've spoken too long. Okay. Okay, I'm almost done. Provide a listening ear and make suggestions of local services they can access. Jennifer's always there, too, to offer her support. Later on Tuesdays, youth are welcome to drop in to meet with Jennifer, Mert, and Charlene for snacks, conversation, and games. And the gathering place, as you heard, is moving to the community parks on Tuesday mornings at 10 by the Labyrinth. Join us with your lawn chair and a coffee. And a new initiative, Single Mingles, is be led by Linda Fleury, and she has already organized a dance for everyone on October 18th. And there have been 4 Single Mingle gatherings, more planned in the fall. And there was also a very successful LGBTQ community mingle, and an LGBT youth group is in the works. It's a busy ministry, but makes me really proud of everything Knox does in our community. Thank you.
So the tech booth obviously got the word that we asked these folks to be no more than 3 minutes. So somebody in their wisdom decided at 3 minutes they're going to turn off the mic. So thanks, Jane. Karen?
That's okay, Jane. I donate half my time to you. Communications is a very small but dedicated team. We work mostly behind the scenes, so you don't really see what we do as saying communications. But we're essential in getting the word out. So we are responsible for maintaining the website, and we have a wonderful webmaster who takes care of that. We are also, one of the new things that we did this year was we put to use the screen out in front of the sanctuary with ongoing posters so that any events that we have, people can see what's coming up and be excited and ask for more information. Unfortunately, there's an electrical issue right now and it's not on, but it has been for, I think we've been operating it for about 3 or 4 months before the electrical glitch happened. The other thing we do is we take care of the outside advertising and making the posters for the inside as well. Colleen does our poster creation as well as the website, and those can be delivered indoors, or we also take care of the external advertising, like all of the promotional stuff for the fall fair and for other events that we have happening. And we expect to continue with that this year. One thing we have put in place that you should all know about is if you want to advertise something, we have created this year a process sheet. Here's how you do it. Here's what you need to get together. Here's who you need to give it to. Each of the ministry team leads that you see up there has a copy of this. And as it's updated, it will be distributed to them as well. You can also get it from the office from Jane. And if you need some outside advertising for your event, that is the process. That is where you start with your team lead. And we're happy to put things together for you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sheila. I've been here a year, approximately, and I'm going to run through the 10 groups that are under the Pastoral Healing and Pastoral Care Ministry. And so we have 10 leaders and of our 10 groups. First of all, I wanted to just show the pamphlets that we have. This is Healing and Pastoral Care, and it has a lot of them in it. It keeps changing, so it'll be updated on by Colleen, is our one that does all of these, and they're to the left when you're leaving church. You can look in the entryway. And this is, I just wanted to show, I don't know if you've probably all seen this, but if there's somebody new, this is our little box here. And there's all of these different ones, so it's just amazing, all the groups we have. So first of all, we have an energy team. They're a healing team, and they're called Pathways Healing Ministry. If anyone is interested, you can call Marianne O'Brien. Pastoral Care visits by Mert Ohms. She spends it in care homes in the area, and she hands out prayer shawls to some of the people in her care homes and in our area as well. Number 3, caring circles. we have approximately 20 caring groups, and this is new. Just within the last few months, in April we started. All of the leaders, they're connectors, called connectors, and they have 10 to 12 people in each group. So far, we have 190 families that have been included in this, and it's intended to include everyone in the congregation. So if you don't know what group you're in, come to Jennifer or myself. We want everyone to be included. 4, our prayer chain continues. You can call Mary Thompson. And it's for prayer if a person has agreed to be on the prayer chain. Number 5, prayer shawls. It's a ministry, and they're given to people who are recovering from illness or people in care. And we have 2 knitters who are interested in starting in the fall, so we could use some more. Some of them are learners. Number 6, grief group. It's a 6-week session that happens, and there are other support groups as well, but they come and they go. You can set up one if you want, if there's a need. Just let Jennifer know. 7, a greeting card ministry for people who have had surgery or a loss, and that's done by Dean Johnson. And she's always ready to send a card out. And then number 8, there's a caregivers group for people who are looking after someone with memory loss. And you can call Jennifer if you are interested in that. This is a good way to debrief and de-stress. And no, you're not the only one dealing with this. Number 9, we have enjoyed a resident therapist this year who met with people on Tuesdays, and her name is Stephanie Kennedy. You may all know her. Anyway, we're so thankful for her. Number 10, we have a foot care ministry just started up by Suzanne Chaddock on Sundays. She is an experienced foot care nurse, and a sign-up sheet is in the hall by the gathering place. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Susan Zwick, if you don't know who I am, and I'm here as the team lead for M&P. And I have a lovely team with working alongside of me, Ray Walker and Fred Nienaber, who's somewhere between here and Alaska, I think, today. Jeanette Mossing, I don't see her today, and Nancy Douglas. Oh, there she is. Sorry, Jeanette. And Nancy Douglas. And hopefully soon to be a new recruit that needs to be nominated today, Diane Coral, but we'll more on that later. So M&P, kind of like what Karen Maynard had said, is kind of in the background. We're here doing a lot of stuff, but we're not as front and center as other ministries. But our main responsibility is to support and provide some overseeing of ministry personnel and lay staff. And there are 3 distinct roles. So we provide consultation and support. We encourage healthy relationships amongst staff and between staff and the congregation. And in concert with the minister, we do provide supervision. In the last year, our main accomplishments were introducing a new initiative. We started to work on it actually in June, but we started off in September recruiting, or maybe even August, with the addition of volunteer receptionists in the narthex 3 days a week. And I have to give tremendous thanks to our committee member, Nancy Douglas, who provided phenomenal oversight and coordination and recruitment for this great program, which was an assistance to our office admin to allow other folks to greet people and to provide some help with wayfinding, whatever they were looking for, so that Jane Williams wasn't interrupted with doing that. We also conducted, and this is an annual job, staff reviews in the winter. So everybody is supposed to have, this is United Church of Canada policy, so we need to do annual staff reviews, which were overwhelmingly positive this year. We oversaw the updating of Knox volunteers with regard to getting police record checks done and updated, so we won't be doing that next year because we should be having that done. It's done every 5 years. And then we reviewed staff compensation rates. That's another important job that M&P does in concert with Stewardship and Finance and Church Council. We assisted with the review and updating of one of our staff's job description. So we have to do that periodically, and they hadn't been done for a number of years. So we're working our way through the list, and we have one done and more to come. And we've also consulted and supported alongside of Jennifer Ferguson's work with visioning other things underneath the lighthouse. So one of the things that I got to be involved in a year ago was to help recruit Stephanie Kennedy, who some of you know, who's done work under the United Way grant. And I expect I will and the team will continue to provide some support with the new initiative underway with the which you'll hear more about from Jennifer. That's pretty much it. We're going to do a lot of the same thing next year, so because that's what we're here to do. That's our job. I'm going to just steal 10 seconds because I never remember to ask for this to be added to the announcements, but for about 2.5 years now, I've been co-hosting a Death Cafe here, along with Diane Burrow. And our last Death Cafe, which is just an open-ended group every month, where folks are welcomed to talk about anything they want to talk about related to death, dying, and living as well. And that's going to, our last one, we're going to take a break for the summer, is on June 27th, which is this Thursday at 1:30. It's been great fun, and I want to thank this congregation for supporting myself to do that. It's something I have a lot of passion around, so I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Margaret Warburton. I'm acting chair of the Sacred Spaces Ministry in the absence of Chris Dauncey. We have been very fortunate to have Bob Hughes step into Chris Dauncey's shoes. I don't know what we would have done without him. The Sacred Spaces Ministry is constantly dealing with matters involving maintenance of our church, sometimes urgent or day-to-day maintenance of the building or parking lot. In recent years, with the addition of the preschool and the numerous rentals, the church is busy, often 7 days a week, which keeps our paid staff and volunteers very busy. We are very fortunate to have a beautiful building renovated a few years ago. There are many people who help to keep our church looking presentable, one being Linda Nelson and her team, who are here weekly pulling weeds and planting beautiful flowers. Many thanks to all of them. One more thing, most people don't know that we have an aesthetics committee consisting of myself, Phyllis Fanning, and Elaine Dauncey. If you want to know more about what we do, you can talk to me, and there'll be a report in the annual report. And our goals are just to maintain the building in good shape, and we are always looking for volunteers. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jan Lucas, and I'm Chair of Social Justice and Outreach. Firstly, I'd like to thank the congregation for supporting all of our projects over the year. We've had several food bank drives. We have receptions for memorials and lots of other projects that were the food that people donate when we have a reception, and the recent bake sale with the food just piling up in the kitchen. It's just wonderful, the support that we get for our projects, and I thank you very much for that. The Social Justice Group is a small but dedicated group of 6 to 8 members, and we meet once a month. We concentrate our efforts mainly locally, but we do support some international efforts, such as selling the olive oil to help Palestine. We also support the Canadian National Petitions of Worth. Soon, Norma Emerson, perhaps some other Knox people, will go to Ottawa on the peace train. I think that's in November. There will be petitions presented in Ottawa and along the way. The highlights of this year were the coldest night of the year walk in February. Our team captain was Margaret Warburton. We got a good turnout, raised some money for housing in our area, and it was a lot of fun. Also, 2 banners were produced, a large one to put up on the church and a smaller one to take in parades. Colleen Welsh did a lot of work for us, putting the color, design, and logos together, and we were going back and forth with ideas, but she put up with us. Another highlight was the passing by Parksville Council of a 19-bed drug treatment center. Shirley Sterlinger kept us in touch with what was going on with this project. We went to meetings, and it did pass, and Parksville really needed this, and we were so pleased about the outcome. Also, Joy Levesque is our new Affirm rep, and she has entered Knox in the July 1st parade. Some of us are working with Rotary at recycling, and the money is used for this year and last year. We're contributing 5 bursaries to the local schools, and 2 of which are for Indigenous students. We organize food bank drives, donations to Haven House, White Gift Sunday, and sandwiches for Manna once a month. It has been really disappointing this year not having a shelter for the homeless in the Parksville area. However, we hope to put some pressure on the Parksville Council in the coming year and at least have something that people can go to during the day. In closing, if you wish to help us reach out to our local community, join us in September. You would be most welcome. Thank you. Now, Brenda Riley is the new chair of the Green Team, and she has sent something for me to read about next year's focus. The Green Team's focus for this coming year is on food, how our consumption affects others, our carbon footprint. Food use is a justice issue. We will be looking at what and how we produce food, our consumption and eating habits, and food waste. We will engage with local farmers, exploring the benefits of a 100-mile diet. In September, with Christians around the world, we will celebrate this year's Season of Creation's theme, to hope and act with creation. In October, we are hosting a plant-based 100-mile diet potluck dinner. Over the winter and next spring, we will continue our focus on eating locally, reducing food waste, living sustainably, and helping others to live sustainably in God's beautiful creation. Thank you to Brenda for contributing this. Thank you.
Good morning. Maybe a bit lower. Okay. My name is Jan DeMond, and I'm team lead of spiritual formation. And it's spiritual formation's job we have several things under the ministry title. Sunday school used to be our weekly prayer meeting, and the library, of course. Our main job is to offer programs to help our spiritual growth. And our committee this year included Blair, who had to step aside, but going forward is Elise Botha, Diane Burrow, Jennifer Ferguson, Leslie Hawley, and Anita Lawrence. This year we celebrate having many people come that had never come before to the things that we offered. And those two highlights were a spiritual smorgasbord and the Wholeness Workbook, both led by Jennifer with help from Diane and myself. Next year, we look forward to a 6-week program on the Enneagram. And it was Blair's idea to have a Music Moves Me thing in the fall, where you would select, anyone who wants to come, 1 or 2 pieces of music or a singer-songwriter that you like, play those for us and tell us why they appeal to you. So we look, I beg your pardon. Oh, yes. Yes, okay. After service, we'll be offering 2 Life After Death books in our book series. And in May, we'll be offering a book that is called Be an Earth Angel. So we look forward to all those things. Thank you.
I am actually delighted that the next person to speak is going to take on the role of Chair of Stewardship and Finance. She's a new member, joined the church a couple weeks ago, but it's been around for a few months now. And I'm pleased that Ashley's going to do that and let her present on behalf of that team.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Ken, for the nice introduction, and thank you for all the hard work that you did this year, and hopefully I can do half as well a job as you've done. Thank you. And also, as I'm thanking people, I would like also to thank Bev for working on the narrative budget, and he's the one responsible for those great pie charts that are in your package this morning. For those of you who don't know, I'm Ashley McDonald, and I'm a retired accountant and stuff, and it's going to be nice to work for the ultimate shareholder. And I look forward to leading this team for the upcoming year, but I would also like to recognize the great work that the people who put on the concerts and the daycare center has been so helpful in our financial health, and we hope to continue that in the upcoming year as well. Thankfully, too, this year, our last sort of push, what I kind of spoke to, we had a great response from everybody in the congregation, and we managed to end this year in the black, which is a great thing. Yeah. And what I was going to say, my sort of aspirations and visions that I have for the upcoming year is to do what we've been doing, but also to try to look at other means of revenue generation and to look at not just this upcoming year, but to maybe try to do a little more strategic planning. And maybe work closely with Jennifer and everybody on the church and on the council to find ways that we can do even better job for the community and sustain the church for ongoing generations, that it will be here for now and forever is my goal. And so I thank you very much. I hopefully stayed within my 3 minutes, and thank you very much.
Normally, Barbara Ninabar would be speaking on behalf of Worship and Arts, but she's on an Alaska cruise, as maybe some of us wish we were too. So John Thompson is going to speak for Worship and Arts.
This is Barbara's report. The Worship and Arts and Creative Planning teams are excited about plans and themes for worship services in the coming year. Thoughts are percolating as to things to do during the liturgical seasons of Advent, Christmas, Epiphany, Lent, Easter, and Pentecost. As for the rest of the year, here are a few highlights to look forward to. Early fall, life lessons. Later fall, traditional versus contemporary theology. Beginning in January, study of the United Church of Canada's Song of Faith. June, Church Past, Present, and Future to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the United Church of Canada. Preliminary 100th anniversary ideas include a display of the United Church of Canada and Knox memorabilia, a service in the old Knox Church at the museum, a slideshow, and a dinner with former Knox ministers as guests. Respectfully submitted.
Well, thank you all. Please join me in thanking all 9 ministries and their team leads and their members. Thank you. Now, in your package, which I see there's some on the table, you should have a package with 4 pieces of paper in it. The first is the agenda, which of course we've all seen. The second is 2 pie charts. And I just want to bring these to your attention because the Stewardship and Finance team Bev Harrison put them together. And really what they say to you is where does our income come from in major categories? And you can see the green charts are 31% of our income comes from concerts and rentals of the building. 10% is special event fundraising. That would include Fall Fair and the other activities. And 59% comes from the givings of the congregation. So we thought that that was interesting information for you to know about. The second one is related to how we spend the money. And what we've done here is taken the actual costs of the respective teams and then prorated the time that the staff spend in each of these areas and allocated a part of that compensation to each of them. So you can see how that works out when you do that calculation. So that's really for your information. We weren't going to get into a discussion unless anyone has any quick questions on it. I guess we are moving to budget, are we? Okay. Also in your package will be a sheet with a bunch of numbers. I'm not sure which side of the brain this is, but it's which one is the technical stuff like this? The left brain. Okay, you've heard all the right brain stuff earlier. Now we're going to get into the left brain stuff. Okay, so if you look at the package, the top section is really what is also on the screen at the moment. This is our revenue. So our projection for this year, which ends in another week, is that we will have total income of $353,000, and it's broken down in those major categories: the giving, the building, which is, as I said, is the concerts, the rentals, the daycare, those kind of things. And the fundraising is the special events, including Fall Fair and other activities during the year. So I thought what I'd do is just flip through these on this projection for the current year, and then we'll come back to the budget for the next year. So if you could bring up the next one, Sandy. These were our expenses by team. This is not dispersed in the way the pie chart is. These are the actual costs off the income statement. So as you can see, we have expenses projected, and these are projected because we have another week to go. that we'll have total expenses of $334,000. And if you go to the next one, there is very good news. At the end of this year, we're projecting we will have a surplus of almost $19,000. This is amazing. A couple months ago, we thought we were heading to a deficit, but through the very exceedingly generous support of the congregation, we are going to end the year with a surplus. And it will be approximately this amount. It might even be, I don't know, maybe a little higher, but we just don't know yet. There's a few bills that still need to come in. So my thanks to everybody who helped to make that happen, because that's very significant. Are there any questions? That's the current year. Yeah, as our policy is that if we have a surplus at the end of the year, the money is moved to the Capital Reserve Fund, which currently sits at about $65,000 and is money put away for emergencies or whatever. And we anticipate there's going to be some pretty significant expenses coming down the road in 5 or 6 years, like a new roof. Those kind of things, that's where that money goes. So that $18,000 or whatever the number turns out to be will be transferred to the Capital Reserve Fund at the end of the year. Okay. Comments, questions? Okay, if we could then back up to the coming year, the Stewardship and Finance team has worked on this, and we presented to Council, and Council is recommending this as the budget for the coming year. We projected givings of $194,000. It's down a bit from what we think we're going to see this year, but we know there's some very generous gifts in there, and it might be the case that we should not count on that all the time. And so we feel that it should be a little bit more realistic, and therefore we're projecting $194,000. The 101 is for building is down a little bit, and this is working with Karen Freeman on what the potential revenue might look like for the concerts particularly and the building rentals. And we've had some big events this year, and she's saying, not so sure that'll happen again, and I think we need to be a little bit more conservative in our projection. So these numbers are, the 101,000 is in consultation with with Karen. And the fundraising we've kept about the same. And we expect that it would come in approximately the same level as where we are this year. So that's the revenue side. Comments? Anybody? If you have questions, just jump to the mic and shout it out. Now on the expense side, you will see that there's an increase in personnel. That's after a lot of work was done on the part of the M&P committee together with the Stewardship and Finance committee, looking at where we are competitively and all of that sort of thing. And the fact that the staff had not had an increase for 2 years. And so it was agreed that the increases would be roughly 6%. If you do the math, you'll find it's slightly higher than that. But they come in at roughly 6% increase to the staff. The council expenses is basically the same. The two big items in there are the insurance and the assessment from the National Church. Some of you may not be aware that the National Church assesses every congregation to help fund the operation of the National Church, and it's basically an income tax. It's based on your revenue from the previous year. And so every congregation gets an assessment, and that is part of the council. Those two things really make up the council expenses. The others are pretty much on about the same as this year. Modest increase in sacred spaces, but that's around mostly utilities that we pay, and these, as we all know in our own homes, those continue to go up. So we're projecting a bit of an increase there. And under stewardship and finance, the big one is the SOCAN expenses, which is a payment for the music that's used in the concerts. And it's an annual payment and that Karen calculates and submits to the SOCAN organization. So that's basically, we're proposing that the expenses total $352,000, and which results in a deficit of $25,540 going forward for this year projected. You're going to hear about a program in a little bit that hopefully will mitigate some of that, but that's what we're looking at the moment, and what we, after our work is done. So I think the next thing is to put a motion on the floor and then open it up to questions. That the proposed operating budget for Knox United Church for fiscal July 1, 24 to June 30, 25 be approved. I would move that. Seconder, John Thompson. Questions, comments? Can you go to the mic, Mary, Rosemary?
Could the surplus of $18,735 be used to offset the deficit of $25,540?
The short answer is no. However, if we find ourselves at the end of the year in a deficit position, one of the criteria to draw from the reserve fund is to cover an operating deficit. But we don't start out that way. It would happen if that happens at the end of the year. A year ago, for instance, we did have a deficit and we had to take $8,000 out of the reserve fund to balance the books last year at this time. So that's how it works. So short answer is no, maybe. Okay.
For what it's worth, we had several comments from the public on Friday that our prices for our baking are way too low. So maybe we can up our prices there a little bit.
Speaking of the baking, our thanks to Karen and Jane for doing that. They raised, I think it was what did Karen give me last night? $638. And because she knows the position we're in, she's holding that money till July 1st. So it starts the year, and she said, "Is that okay?" I said, "That's absolutely okay." Yeah. Anything else?
I'd like to send out a very strong thank you to all the committee that has worked on it and all the people who have helped raise money for Knox, because it's been a team effort and it's been wonderful.
Thank you, Kathy. Kathy.
As a member of the Healing and Pastoral Care, could you just explain the change between the designated amount for healing and pastoral care this year and the increase for the budget, please?
I was ready for that. This was really done in consultation with Carol Lyons, the former chair of that team. And she said, we really want to ramp up the prayer shawl ministry and buy product to do that. And could we build a bit of money in for that? So that's where the increase comes from, Kathleen, is to position us to bring that ministry back up and provide the necessary material. That's where it is. And I said, what do you want? Well, how much? I don't know. I said, well, let's put $750 in and see what happens. Okay. Jan?
Ken, I just wondered if the Growth and Sustainability Committee is going to continue its work in the coming year?
Maybe the chair should answer that.
At this point, I mean, the council's feeling is growth and sustainability should continue, but we're kind of evaluating in what form and what additional ideas that we want to pursue. So at this point, it's kind of in a hold pattern, but I think the intention is to get it going again. And there's certainly a lot of people in the room here that have done a lot of great work on it, and we want to carry on with that energy. I'm looking at you, Bob. So.
Okay. Anything else? I guess I will turn it to you, Mr. Chair. Oh, sorry.
Just a reminder, though, it's just a proposed budget. It doesn't actually mean as of June next year that's what the deficit will be, if there is one. This year you said we were able to turn it around. Who knows what the future will bring? So if we have to vote on a deficit for the next budget at the moment, it doesn't mean it will be that amount or it will even happen.
Thanks, Sheila. It's where we see it at the moment, that's all. Yeah. Okay, anything else? There's a motion on the floor, I guess. Blair, thank you.
So the motion reads that the proposed operating budget for Knox United Church for the fiscal year July 1st, 24 to June 30th, 2025 be approved. Can I have a second for the motion?
It's been moved by me. Second.
Okay, sorry. Okay. All in favor of the motion? Show of hands, it's carried. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll try and make this fairly short, folks. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Don Emerson, and I am past chair of council, and as such, I'm chair of nominations. So I think it's important before we go to the vote for nominating the next year's folks on council is to really make it known, and I think a lot of you know that there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into making Knox work. You've heard from the team leads, but there's also a lot of people who are on the teams that need to be recognized as well. And I think Jennifer did some number crunching not too long ago to basically work out a ballpark for the number of hours that is volunteered as for Knox. And I think, Jennifer, it's literally thousands. There you have it, close to 1 million hours when you add all the hours up all year that people put in to making church, Knox what it is right now. And so that has to be recognized. If we could maybe just have a slide, Sandy. Here we have the present council, Blair, Chair, Jerry, our hardworking secretary, myself, and Ken as treasurer. Could we have the next slide, Sandy? Thank you. And here we have the present roster of leads on your council. I just want to say thanks to recent people who have stepped up to fill very important positions, in particular Sheila in healing and pastoral care, We also have Ashley McDonald, who stepped up to be the lead of Stewardship and Finance. And I think it's appropriate to thank Ken for wearing 2 hats over the last year as both treasurer and as lead for Stewardship and Finance. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of challenging work. It's a lot of very difficult work, and some of the decisions we've had to come up with have not been taken lightly, but I think we're working in the right direction. Bob Hughes, who stepped in very graciously for Chris Dauncey. Patricia Craig, who has just stepped up very, very recently in the last week to be one of our trustees. Diane Coral onto the Ministry and Personnel team, and Mary Thompson for the prayer chair. I hope I haven't forgotten anybody. If I have, forgive me. And I think at this point it's also appropriate to thank the number of people who have stepped down from their positions on council. I want to particularly thank Ron Pepper, who with Deborah have moved to Victoria. Ron was a very, very capable chair of Stewardship and Finance for the last 4 years, and we wish him well. Also, in particular, Carl Weiss, who has just stepped down as lead of trustees after 8 years. And if it wasn't for Carl's tenaciousness and dedication, we would probably not be getting a new carpet installed within the next couple of months. So these are people who have done an awful lot of work. Carol Lyons on pastoral care. So I think it just leaves me for the next slide there. Oh, right. So I make a motion to appoint the people that you see on the screen to their positions on church council for the coming year. Do I have a seconder? Jane, thank you. Any discussion? Any questions? Any nominations? Susan?
Do we need to nominate Diane World?
I believe we do. Do we need to Diane Coral officially?
Is there another slide?
I don't think there's one with Diane Coral's name on it. No. I think it's appropriate to nominate. Oh, okay, sure. Okay, so what's that, Ken? Right. So the motion right now is for the present council. And we have a seconder. All in favor? Thank you. So this is your team of trustees. Sandy Hurl, Jane Walker, myself, Bev Harrison. Thanks, Bev, for just recently stepping up as well. Patricia Craig and Jennifer ex officio. Any discussion before I make a motion? Okay, motion to appoint the named persons to the Board of Trustees for Knox United Church for the indicated terms. Do I have a seconder? Ken, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. And here we have the Ministry and Personnel team, led by Susan. Jeanette Mossing's on the team, Fred Nienamer, Nancy Douglas, Ray, and our newcomer, Diane Coral. Make the motion that the above persons be appointed as members of the Ministry and Personnel team for the coming year. Seconder, Karen? Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. And for your information, members of the nomination committee, myself, Ken Fanning, and Margaret Warburton, with Sandra, our very capable envelope secretary. I think that's it. Thank you, folks. Yeah.
So a lot of people have been involved in putting together a grant application for this community counseling collective, which we weren't successful at, but that I think will be a positive thing. So Jennifer's going to talk about this initiative and what she hopes to achieve and how to bring our message out to the community.
And I've asked Susan Zwick to join me because Susan and I have been working closely together to help bring about this proposal. Yeah, sure, you could, yes, that makes sense. So, but before we do that, I just want to thank what an amazing congregation we have, that all the team leads, the council executive, they're an amazing team of people who have been leading us this past year. And I think once more, if we can just acknowledge our thanks for their leadership, they've really taken us from COVID into a new time. So thank you. This vision of a community, it's actually a different name. It's called the Counseling and Healing Collective. And it was first envisioned, as you'll know, that Stephanie Kennedy was hired through a United Way grant last year from September till June 30th. And so her position is going to be ending. The grant was just a one-time grant that came, the initiative, the grant came from the United Way and the Government of Canada, two organizations that said, what did you learn through COVID? What did your organization learn from COVID? And we said, well, what we learned is that people are isolated and lonely. And it's part of our mission that we had decided before COVID was to, guided by the creative spirit of God, we are called to build a community that cares, shares, and dares. So we told the United Way that, and they gave us a $37,700 grant. And that was to pay for somebody who would come in as a counselor and do one-on-one counseling, but would also create groups for people, because we believed that it's when people gather together and support one another that true community is built and people are strengthened and become more whole by being in community than we are individually. And so because Stephanie did an amazing job this year with the single mingles for 70 plus, the 60s, 50s and 60s, the LGBTQ community mingle, and the dining, and there was a gather and dine group that came together, and the memory loss support group for folks, caregivers of folks with memory loss. So, and that was all due to Stephanie and the grant. But she is leaving, so we wanted to put something in place that, because it was such a successful thing. So we thought what we'd love to do is to create 3 or 4 or 5 Stephanies. And so that's basically what we've done, is to create the Counseling and Healing Collective. And so the last couple of months we asked Stephanie to try to help us pull together some counselors to do that and healing practitioners. And so we're going to present that now. We've got slides to do that.
So the brand new name is the Counseling and Healing Collective. This is, again, I just want to stop for a second, though, because you've given appropriately lots of accolades to Stephanie, but this has really been Jennifer's, is it bailiwick? I mean, it's been your vision that there's so much more that can happen inside a church to engage and connect with the community. So, yes, Stephanie was an amazing find. Through yourself, Jennifer, you were the connection there. But yeah, this was your vision from the beginning. So I see the Counseling and Healing Collective as an extension of this wonderful experiment that was very positive, that was in a way to just put more energy and time into things, programs that you couldn't do because you're one person. So I just really want to stop and make sure we all know this is Jennifer's ideas. These are Jennifer's visions, and it's really, we need to give you a lot of that credit. So, yeah.
And I really can't take the credit because I really do feel very inspired most of the time, in the sense of I'm in that right brain that I'm not watching ants and birds, but I'm watching the people that are coming in the doors and listening to their gifts and sensing where we're being led. So I got to give credit to the top shareholder, as Ashley did. So.
Well, we're lucky to have you, that you're so spirit-driven and, divinely inspired to carry on and dream and vision what church can look like into the next time, to the next phase of our world. And I'm very grateful for that. So yes, we're looking for, we found counselors. We have currently 4. Okay, so we have 4. I've met 3 personally, along with Jennifer and Stephanie. But we have going to include other modalities along with very traditional therapists or counselors that would be seeing people on an hourly basis for a variety of different kinds of needs. And that a portion of their fee that they're going to charge, they're going to be giving to Knox for the rental space. So this is a social enterprise, essentially, that we're going to be trying. Yeah, it's going to be a brand new experiment, and we're super excited about it. Do you want to say more about that?
No, because I think you said. So I think you got that they're going to be charging $150 was a set fee for counseling for these counselors, and they'll be providing 20% of the charges to Knox for rental space, marketing and promotion, referrals, and monthly supervision and peer support with a qualified supervisor. So one of the counselors is trained in supervision. She has a master's and many, many years of experience, and so she's going to be offering for free monthly supervision peer support. And for those who can't afford counseling, there will be a limited number of subsidies will be available for counseling through the Minister's Discretionary Fund, which is funded by all of you. So traditionally, we've been, the Minister's Discretionary Fund has gone to a lot of food cards. And so we've spent, I think it's probably almost $9,000 this year, just since December, on food cards. And it's kind of come to our attention that some of the food cards are being used, people are breaking into those folks that come that have homes or rooms. People are breaking into their rooms, stealing their food cards and using them as bargaining chips for to purchase drugs. So we felt that we did not want to be enabling this system. We want to be empowering people that come. And so those folks are going to be able to be subsidized for counseling, or be in a peer support group as part of the counseling. And so through the Minister's Discretionary Fund, while some of the money will continue to go for food cards for folks that we know have children and are not actively in addiction, and those choices will be made by Sheila, who's a very able addiction and mental health worker, is able to discern what's going on, and so the money won't be going there. We would like to funnel it to counseling so that we can go to the next stage of enabling and empowering people to be able to get clean and live really healthy and whole lives. So that's our hope. So I hope you'll feel that that's a good decision, that your money for the Minister's Discretionary Fund will go to a lot of subsidizing the folks. The grant that we didn't get was going to go to subsidizing those folks, and because we didn't get the grant, we had to come up with other ways of subsidizing people with counseling, because some of our counselors wanted to be part of the collective at Knox in order to be able to counsel people at a reduced rate, so that those folks could get what help that they need. We're still going.
So yes, scheduling and billing. So Jane will be involved in helping with online scheduling and billing, but there's going to be a system. If anybody has ever made their own appointments for physio or anything like that, we often see Powered by Jane. It's a similar type of program that people can go online and see who the counselors are within this Knox collective, and book an appointment, and then that booking can generate a note-taking system, a record-keeping system for the clinicians, as well as invoicing. So Jane will be assisting that, and a portion of her time this summer is going to be becoming familiar with this program called COLEB. I didn't mention the name, but COLEB is the name of this online program and record-keeping program. And the counselors they're a varied group of individuals with different training, different disciplines, and lots of different experience. They all have involvement, or not involvement, but they belong to a college, a certification, and they have their own malpractice insurance as well. I guess I mentioned that already. Yep.
Just like Stephanie didn't do one-on-one counseling, but she also created groups or held events or workshops. Each of the counselors and healing practitioners that are contracted, each independent contractor will choose to offer a support group, a workshop or event as part of their contribution to the church and wider community for free or at an affordable cost. And if there is a charge for an event, 30% of the fee, just like in our concerts, or some of our concerts, there'll be 30% of the fee will be paid to the church to cover rental space and marketing and promotion.
So yes, the spaces for or where the work will be done has been in consultation with our facility coordinator, who does a terrific job managing the space in the building, and the predominant spaces that will be used in the daytime, or the only spaces that will be used in the daytime, will be in the library and our healing room, aka the chapel area. And then room 5, not available in the daytime, will be available from 4:45 p.m. onward as well.
And for the timeline, as of August 1st, the photos and bios of the counselors and healing practitioners with their fees posted will be available for congregants and the wider community to book and schedule appointments online confidentially. And the Knox office administrator will be responsible for overseeing COLEB, which is a booking, scheduling, invoicing system. And the first contracts with options to renew will run from September 3rd to August 30th. And the Counseling and Healing Collective will begin September the 3rd, 2024. And just wanted to encourage you, if you are seeking a counselor, I would invite you to look at the members of the collective, and hopefully you would find a counselor that you wanted to work with, because then it benefits not only the counselor and yourself, but it also benefits Knox. So if that's at all possible, that'd be great. And just a word about the healing practitioners. So we've been working on contracts for the counselors, and then the next step will be working on contracts for the healing practitioners. So we have folks that are energy healers, a body talk practitioner, and we'd love to have a massage therapist as part of the healing practitioners too, and also been talking to somebody who's been taking a course in breath work. It's called Pranarama, which there's been all sorts of studies done that learning how to breathe properly and doing breath work and intentional breath work can be incredibly healing for the body.
Yeah, it's taking us to a new, it's new, it's different. And we've, I'm going to say Jennifer and Diane have predominantly been spending a phenomenal amount of time in recent weeks working on developing a contract, because we certainly need to have a contract with these individuals. So as soon as that phase is done and contracts are signed, you can meet these practitioners online. Their bios will be available, so you'll know. We're not mentioning names today because that's premature, but we're very close to being there.
I know progress is always very slow in counseling, but have we got any evaluation process to know whether this is worthwhile?
I'm not sure I understand the question, Kathy, but as far as like evaluation.
A lot of money has gone into helping people who are in trouble, here, there, and all over the place. Are we successful? Is the money being well spent? Do we have an evaluation program that's saying we see this many people, these people have had wonderful success, these people are still working on it? Do we have a program for that?
Stephanie's been doing for the last year? Is that what you're referring to?
Coming up. What's coming up?
Well, we can't evaluate something before it's happened.
We should have a program to see if we're successful.
Are you suggesting that we have evaluation process in place? Of course, that would make sense, and because Stephanie's going to be completing an evaluation, and as I will be as the supervisor for the United Way grant, so we'll have an understanding. That's why we've taken this to the next step, because her year here has been so successful. So then you're saying is an evaluation process after this year of this project? Absolutely. That's a good point, and yes. Yes.
Hi, I'm Marianne O'Brien with Healing Pathway, and this is just for clarification. We are not under the collective. We continue to meet in the healing room at the regular time, and appointments to us are not part of the revenue stream, so we'll be solely on voluntary donations. And also that to make the appointments, it will not be through Jane. It will be through Healing at KCU or to my phone number, which I think has been flashed on the screen before. We welcome this initiative, but just for clarification. Thank you.
For clarifying that, yeah. It's easy to think of it as all the healing that's going on in this amazing church underneath this new name, but thank you. That's been going on a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
That Healing Pathway Ministry has been incredibly supportive and has carried us and will continue to carry us. This is an additional.
Can I just make a comment as well to Kathy? I want to be as brief as I can, but your comment about evaluating, I mean, it's a really important one. And yes, it's going to be, United Way required an evaluation for this year since they funded with the $37,000, almost 38. And we haven't really ever been able, stop me if I'm wrong, to evaluate how effective the food card program has been. I mean, that would be a great question, or a great exercise to find out. But I don't think there's any way to effectively capture that other than maybe anecdotal, comments and feedback, which probably Jennifer and Sheila this year have been the recipients of. But moving forward, this next year, I mean, I think when the clinicians offer whatever specific program they're going to be offering Knox and the community, I mean, that will be able to be captured, but we're not going to be monitoring individual. The therapists that are going to be working here are seeing clients under their own independent, they are renting space here at Knox, but we are not going to be evaluating in any way
their work,
the outcome of their individual work. Is that clear? Karen? But what we could do is ask each of the clinicians to do their own evaluation of their feedback and how they felt the program worked for them, and that would support it. And I think we'll be able to also evaluate just how busy they were. I mean, that's going to be an important piece since this is a social enterprise ultimately helping Knox's accounting or, our fiscal situation. So, the programming will be able to be evaluated by attendance, just as Stephanie's work and Jennifer in collaboration with Jennifer. That's been fairly easy to capture.
I think we can get some success stories without saying, you know, these people. If you ever had someone who is an addict and is now a recovering addict, it would be nice to know. And that's not without naming names, you know. And there's an awful lot of money going elsewhere, and I don't know. I don't even know where to give it anymore.
I may have been misleading that all of the subsidies were going to be going to those folks that are coming in the door. That's not necessarily the case. There might be a couple that want to do one-on-one counseling, but those subsidies that we're hoping that we could fund actually 16 people in the course of a year, 8 fully subsidized and 8 half subsidized, could be members of our own congregation who couldn't otherwise afford counseling, or other people that it might be youth that are coming in. So it's not going to be only the people coming in the doors that are going to be those counseling, those subsidies would be available. So
we could create an evaluation that we offer to the clinicians for their clients that could be submitted anonymously. It'd be very easy. And just, you know, if a client finishes their term with that clinician, thinks they've done enough, would you be willing to? Voluntary, not mandatory. And or at the end of the year, any clients who are still ongoing can be offered the opportunity, and we can capture that as well as the clinician's feedback.
The most powerful outcome of any program is being able to collect 1 or 2 stories in terms of the future of the program. It's really powerful community advertising stuff.
I know from personal experience that psychology and spirituality really does allow for growth. And research lately has shown that many psychologists and therapists are incorporating spirituality in their practice. So I really celebrate the effort that Jennifer and obviously Susan are putting in to this effort on behalf of Knox. Thank you.
I just wanted to also, just what you were saying, Rosemary, is that what's unique also about this collective of counselors is they all have a spiritual basis. And so when people come to these folks, and the healers as well, they have that support. It's like Jesus saying, your faith has made you whole, because I think that's been the missing piece for much of our society. Is we understand about emotional healing, we understand about physical healing, we understand about mental healing, but there's also a necessary spiritual healing. And with that added component here, it's quite exciting, I think, for people to really experience wholeness. And anecdotally, we can capture that. And I would just like to share one story, because as the folks who come in, how many people would you say on average you're seeing now, Sheila? They're coming in every Tuesday. Between a dozen to 16 people have been coming in. And I think the reason why it's grown isn't just because the food cards now are down to $25. They're not really coming for the $25. They're really coming to talk to Sheila, or to go into the gathering place and have people come up to them and welcome them and honor them and spend time with them. And then they're given a lunch to go, so they're feeling nurtured and nourished and cared for. And one man who came last week, because we were having to tell them that the food card program will not be happening over the summer, that we will not be seeing people over the summer, and that in the fall, they might not get a food card, but they'll be welcome to come to a group of peer support by one of the counselors, to have peer support, and there'll be counseling for them. And everyone I've told, and I don't know if this was true for you, Sheila, everyone has said, that is so wonderful, I need counseling, that would be so great. And so nobody's complaining about no food card. And one person said to me, you know, I'm just so grateful. He said, I'm not a religious person, but this church has really been transformative for my life because I feel cared for and everyone treats me with respect and I just feel really safe here. And I think that speaks volumes. And we're in consultation with Social Justice and Outreach too about how we go about creating food security for these folks without enabling addiction. So that's a testimonial. Those are the kinds of things we can certainly write down in evaluation if that's what's needed, so that you know that your money is going to worthwhile. It has made a difference. Those few food cards that were exchanged for drugs, it's because people had broken into their places and had them stolen. So it's not like all of our recipients were going and trading it for drugs. I think they've found a home here, and that's pretty special.
Is that a wrap for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to just take one last moment. And say, I think M&P, I'm wearing my M&P hat, but I think I'm speaking for all of you. I have a feeling in my heart and my head how grateful we are for Jennifer Ferguson. Who's doing whose heart and soul is getting inspired and is open to having, how did we refer to God today? Ashley said it. Thank you, the Supreme Shareholder.
Supreme
I love
Shareholder,
it.
I love that.
But Jennifer is been an amazing leader. I know I speak for all of us. I read many of your comments, of course, which were all kept anonymous, but besides myself. But just how hard you're working. How hard you're working, delivering amazing worships for all of us on Sunday mornings, but thinking way outside the box for how much more church can be in 2024, and how so much of what you do is offering the integration and the wholeness and the healing that you talk about and are making into reality. So I just want to thank you, and I know I speak for all of us, so let's just...
Thank you. Thank you. We don't need a motion, do we? No, a motion to approve the council.
That brings us to the end of our AGM agenda. I'd like, before we close, in addition to the thanks to Jennifer, I'd like to thank all our wonderful volunteers here, and in particular the heads of the committees and the members on those committees, because they are the church, the work of the church. And I'd like to also have a special shout out to Brian Zwick. Where's Brian? I don't know. Not here? Anyway, Brian's done a lot of work on that sustainability and growth. Bob, Dennis, I'm just so appreciative of the work they've done and the opportunities they've identified. It has been a bit of a frustrating journey, but we're going to get there. So thank you very much to those folks. And one last shout out is to our tech booth, Sandy, Tony, and Jen when she's there. They do an amazing job every Sunday, so thank you very much. And thank you all for coming. Oh, yeah. Also our staff, Jane, Karen, and Patricia. You guys do an amazing job here. The music is really special, Patricia, so thank you. And really appreciate that. With that, could I have a motion to adjourn, please? Jane, second by Ray. All in favor? All right. Thank you. See you next year.